Are you feeling slightly ready to do a podcast?
I was born slightly ready.
Yay!
Turn that down, mate.
Turn what down?
The loud thing.
What's going on? It's like a zombie apocalypse or something. Hi, welcome to Frame by Frame. I'm Stephen. This is
Andy. Yo, how you doing, guys? Good. Nice to hear from you.
You talking to me?
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
Then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like a clown.
I'm Peter Binkman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Man that doesn't step down to the standard will never be a real man.
Damn!
I'm kind of a big deal.
The first rule of my love is do not talk about my
Yeah, baby!
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
you haven't got your guitar as a weapon to get you through the opening credits.
No, because what we're discussing today would be difficult to play the theme tune to.
Yeah, there's no theme tune to Dawn of the Dead.
Well, there is, but we're talking about remakes today, aren't we?
Remakes in general, yes. Yeah. So we're kind of going to focus on a little bit on Dawn of the Dead, or use Dawn of the Dead as kind of like our main frame for this episode. But we are going to talk about remakes. And a lot of remakes come from many different sources, as we well know. It's sometimes it's an American film remade from an American film.
Yeah.
A lot of the time there are Japanese films that are remade into American films.
Yes. Correct.
And also British or European. So yeah, we're kind of going for.
Yeah, what it seems to be is if a film makes a little bit of money, then Hollywood will get it, up the budget by 30 million, 100 million, whatever, and try and make more money out of it.
Even if it's a cult, even if it's a cult classic, that might not necessarily be, to clarify a remake, it has to. We're saying that it has to be kind of the same story or the same origin story. It's like Superman has had about 4 different origin stories as a Spider-Man. You call those reimaginings?
Yeah, I wouldn't call them a remake because they're not remaking a film, I suppose, as opposed to trying to reboot a franchise.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a reboot. Yeah, we have to watch. We're watching Dawn of the Dead in the background. And
for inspiration, this is what made us talk about this. Is Stephen doesn't like the original Dawn of the Dead; he prefers the remake.
Yeah, I do, and I think that it's the thing about zombies. It's just the nature of zombies as a thing. I don't like slow moving zombies.
Right.
It's not so much that I don't like them. It's just that I don't believe that anybody who actually do get caught by a zombie walking slowly towards them is stupid. And that they should actually have the ability to run and escape, or actually they've got plenty of time to figure it out. It's like It Follows is in a way kind of closer to the point.
I sort of agree with what you're saying there, but usually in a zombie film, if there's just a few of them to get away, they just like push them out the way, and they make a point of them moving so slow. What the point is, it's a zombie apocalypse, so it's the sheer volume of zombies that you can't get away from. There's just so many of them.
And
they're just creeping towards you, and next thing you know, you're in a corner of a room, you can't get away, and he finally gets you, just rip you apart.
In 1968, George Romero brought us Night of the Living Dead. It became the classic horror film of its time.
Not that room! Not that room!
Now, George Romero brings us the most intensely shocking motion picture experience for all times.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill. This situation must be controlled before it's too late. They are multiplying too rapidly.
Dawn of the Dead.
Meet me on the roof at 9 o'clock. Get out.
I don't believe
We're
it.
going to
What?
get out in the chopper. We've got to survive. Somebody's got to survive.
They kill for one reason. They kill for food. They eat their victims.
Imagine, if you will, that something has gone terribly wrong.
Shoot it, man.
Now, accept the fact that there's no escaping the horrible consequences. George Romero brings back the dead. Night of the Living Dead has ended. Dawn of the Dead is here.
The only time that it works is when the human living element it becomes a problem as well. Of course, when they're fighting to stay alive, they're it's kill or be killed, or be eaten by a zombie. So when that's working together, like in The Walking Dead, for example, they're quite slow-moving zombies, but they're very, very sneaky. There's a lot more sneakiness to them. But it's the human versus human element of survival that's more important in that series.
Yeah, well, like, I think the Romero films, the very early ones, I think, like, Night of the Living Dead, they're just stuck in that room, that house.
Yeah, the whole time.
And, they're in with the family's got the daughter who's sick, she's going to turn sooner or later.
Yes, yeah.
And it's more about how they can deal with it and work together as opposed to the zombies. It's always more about the humans than the zombies,
That's it, yeah. And for the most part, I think the first scene in Night of the Living Dead, when she's at the cemetery or something, and
they're coming for you, Barbara.
And it's just the one guy who kind of comes across and kills the boyfriend.
But he doesn't. He pushes the boyfriend, and the boyfriend goes down and bangs his head on a gravestone.
Oh, so
and it's actually quite violent how that happens.
Yeah.
And then she's just terrified, and this thing's coming towards her, so she gets in the car and goes down a hill, and runs away. The
makeup of it looks kind of Frankensteinish, Dr. Frankenstein's monster kind of look. Hi, Starbuck.
I don't know what.
Yeah,
is that the first zombie?
It was the first zombies. White Zombie was the first zombie film.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of get it, but it never. It's funny how it didn't scare me at all, and I didn't feel like threatened by it, even though it's the most iconic George Romero film, being Night of the Living Dead, and I think it's probably dated tremendously.
Yeah, well, it was black and white, but it was again, it was quite progressive.
Progressive for what it was.
Yeah, it had a black leading actor in it.
That's true.
That's was rare for what was
it was progressive in a lot of those ways.
But then, have you ever seen the remakes of Night of the Living Dead?
I don't think I have.
It's pretty much shot for shot remake, but it's gorier and not black and white. And it's the dude out of Candyman who plays the main character.
Dude, yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Not personally, not intimately, but...
Yeah, no, it's okay though.
It's
good. Good film, yeah.
Tony Todd.
I think I actually prefer that to the original, to be honest.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to it, I mean, there's a reason for a remake to come out. And usually it's because that the first one is so dated that it needs updating, and then it needs to have some kind of a relevance for today's audience to pick up on it. And that being said, a lot of the originals are being unnecessarily remade recently.
We'll get onto that. Yeah, we will get onto that.
But for the starters, I mean, horror films are very easily remade because they're usually low budget to begin with.
Well, the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which was Zack Snyder's.
Yeah.
I think it might be his first film, or definitely one of his first films. I think it's my film I like the most of Zack Snyder. I think he tends to be a little bit too
pop cultural.
Maybe that's what I want to say.
Popular, trying to masses.
Yeah, perhaps, but
playing to the masses too much, maybe.
But I'm pretty sure this was the first film. It kicked off a running zombie thing where all zombies then start running.
Yeah, that's true.
And a lot of people don't like it because zombies aren't supposed to run. But the reason I do like it, I suppose, having this reanimated corpse just walking towards you, but to have this thing that's ravenous, and it's running to eat you because it's fucking. And I think it's primal urges to eat you, and it's scary.
Not dead. It's actually just.
It's undead, my friend.
It's undead, and I think that what people kind of thought was from the dead that when the things rise, they're dead, so they basically they don't have much sense of direction, so they have to put their hands in front of them. And they have to do the Frankenstein's monster thing. And that was the original idea of what zombies were supposed to be. But that doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily set in stone. Zombies aren't supposed to be anything. But if you actually influence certain things, such as a virus, a pandemic virus that wipes out people and kills them, but then basically reanimates psycho humans that are undead, then that there's legitimacy behind that, because it's just a different breed of zombie. and I can totally believe in that more than the actual slow moving zombie.
What I always like about the Day of the Dead and like this one,
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead, the remake, is it just like a zombie apocalypse is happening, but we're
Yeah.
just focusing on these group of people and how they're coping with it.
And that's kind of what they all kind of work with. For any one of them, I mean, any film that has zombies, there's always a group of people who have to survive. Usually the situation is like with most horrors, a couple of them or nearly all of them are killed off. And sometimes they find new people, and sometimes they just get killed off slowly until there's only one.
Yeah.
The dead will walk the earth.
We are down to the line, folks. We are down to the line.
Dawn of the Dead.
So what's the thing you like most about the remake of Dawn of the Dead than you do about the original?
Vivian, honey, are you okay?
Look up the road, there's a lot more of them. Why are they coming here?
Maybe they're coming for us.
Sooner or later, they're gonna get in here.
Our baby's gonna be fine.
It's only a matter of time.
It's coming.
They'll find a way in.
Oh God.
So you've got the running zombies. It gives you something to legitimately be scared of. They're coming at you.
Yes.
Get out of the way.
And I think the build-up of this one had... It felt a little bit more natural. You felt as though you were coming from a place of not having a clue what was going on. Then all of a sudden waking up the next day, and it literally is chaos, but you still don't know what's going on. And then for some reason your husband and your daughter are trying to kill you.
It's the girl from next door, isn't it?
Girl from next door.
Yeah, and a boyfriend.
Yeah.
So she comes home from a hard day's graft. She's a nurse.
Yes.
And a hard night's graft. She comes home. She has a shower. She has a bit of sex with her fella.
Yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose.
And it's basically, they set the scene up kind of like Shaun of the Dead.
Well, that's funny. Shaun of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead came out the same year.
Yeah, but the idea of the scene at the bit when she drives home, and suburbia is kind of normal, and she's just driving normal and everything's fine. But there's kind of little things that are kind of out of place, and the news is kind of like a little bit odd.
Yeah.
Because the next time she drives out, the whole place is in chaos, and she does the same journey in reverse. And there's cars everywhere. There are people kind of strewn about the floor, and there's fires in the distance. But it's done in such a beautiful, it's like CinemaScope kind of a visual,
Yeah.
and it's a visual feast of her escape. It's so remarkable that it really captured me. It really got me.
Well, I had the same thing because it was all pretty normal up to that point.
Yeah,
And then she sort of wakes up, and the little girl from next door is in the bedroom with them.
that's it. Yeah,
And she's like, well, she's here. And then that's where that little girl attacks her boyfriend. And
That's
then
it.
the little girl goes for it. And that to me was scary because it's a little girl
yeah.
coming for you. And all of a sudden you're terrified of this little girl. And then, as we're seeing now,
Yeah, it's just relentless.
and then she's trying to save
yeah.
her boyfriend. And then the boyfriend dies. She tries to get the phone. And then her boyfriend behind her just stands up.
Yeah.
And then attacks her.
Yeah, and she
It's
doesn't know
great.
what the hell is going on, but she's terrified. She wants to escape. But just then, when she went running into the bathtub, they sped that up a little bit because she literally just went crashing into the
Yeah.
bathtub. But the only thing is that she doesn't seem to be that upset that her boyfriend has.
She looks pretty terrified to me. She's in shock.
Maybe it's shock that takes
Yeah,
over.
because when she finally gets somewhere that's a bit safe, she
cries.
loses it.
She loses it, yeah. And that's it. That's what. So it's the adrenaline that's breaking up, and she's doing it. She's doing the business, and it's kind of like a little bit of Psycho here, a little bit of Psycho in the bathroom, and a bit of
The
The Shining there. So that they're kind of pulling in all these beautiful little pieces that work all well together, and of course, you got to have that. And freedom, and all of a sudden, I mean, this is what I mean. This beautiful scene where she gets into the car. It's kind of weird. It's like people shooting guns off neighbors, and it's like I just love the scene where she just drives off, and everything's kind of just crashing around. People are falling into her car,
Yeah.
and that to me, it made me feel like this was here. This could be here.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead, the original, this is not where I am. But look at this. The camera's mounted on the front of the bonnet, and you just got everything happening. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
Incidentally, this is the first film that I saw with my glasses on. Before then, I had never worn glasses for seeing long distance before, and I saw the hairs on her arms breaking up. I'd never seen that in a movie before.
Really?
It was like, so in a way, this is kind of like real, a lot more real, the most real experience in the film up to that date.
Look at that shot.
Yeah.
So you sort of got like a panoramic shot of like a town, suburban village, and everything's just on fire.
It's fantastic.
Really well made.
Okay, so as a remake, yeah, I kind of feel as though I am more afraid of this. I'm more disturbed by this.
Yeah.
And I relate to the shopping mall more because it's relatable, and I think that's probably what it is. I mean, I'm not usually a stickler for originals. Originals are usually better than remakes, that in my opinion. Of course,
yeah.
But for some reason, I kind of felt as though I needed this to come along to kind of get me there.
Yeah.
Gets me there.
Sketch you there.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff. So, how about you? So why the original and not the remake?
No, I'm with you. I actually prefer the remake.
You do now?
Yeah.
Oh, you did, but you did before.
Yeah. I watched Dawn of the Dead, and I actually really liked it. Because you just couldn't get on with it, could you? I liked it because it is still set in a mall. The only thing I had with it is because we brought up when you see things that look realistic now, the blood never looked quite realistic in it. It was always too like light red. Didn't look like blood.
Yeah, Star Trek purple blood. Yeah.
And that always took me out of it a little bit. And this got released, so I went and watched it at the cinema. And I remember just being blown away by it.
I think I'm going to stop it so that the sound just cuts out.
Okay. Eventually.
And then we can focus on his remakes. But yeah, it was in a shopping mall is a kind of a place where you fantasize about.
Well, with the remake, they start having fun and a bit of a laugh, don't they? They're having drinks and all that kind of stuff, and it's all a bit of fun.
It's all a bit of a bit of a laugh.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like gallows humour, isn't it? You're in an apocalypse, a zombie apocalypse, but you've got to try and find some sort of fun.
Yeah.
Like when they have the guy across the way who's got in a gun shop, and he like holds up a sign saying Burt Reynolds, and they'll point down and there's a zombie looks like Burt Reynolds, and they'll shoot him.
That's it. Yeah.
That's a really fun little playful thing. That's so James Gunn.
But
James Gunn did the screenplay.
Getting on with trying to do the best you can to survive with what's maintaining your sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the element with the pregnant woman.
Yeah, it's really freaky. That.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Where obviously her husband's very protective and won't let anyone go near her.
Yeah.
And then she dies, and then gives birth. So when they finally get in there, like, look, it's a boy, and they open it up, and it's just this zombie weird boy.
Freaky thing.
Yeah.
So that means, but that basically tells them so much about the situation that humanity is done for even before they're even born.
His wife had been bit, hadn't she?
She had been bit.
So basically, it was like an Exodus situation because she turned into a zombie, but she was tied to the bed.
Yeah,
and she's like, but she's still tied to the bed and I think in the end he has to kill her.
Yeah.
So he shoots her in the head, and then you just see this, and the belly moves a bit, and obviously she gives birth.
Freaky. It is a freaky, and it's done really well. I mean, geez, I don't think I've actually seen the zombie birth since then. I think they've avoided it.
Yeah.
Because once you've seen it in that, you don't need to do it again. It's
doesn't usually stop people like American Werewolf in London. That's how you change from a man to a werewolf. They keep trying to do it. No one's ever done it as good as that, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, off subject. But yeah, I actually, and I really like the end, because the ending, they finally get to a port, don't they? And they get on a boat, and they think everything's safe, and they end up getting to that island, they think everything's okay now.
Yeah.
And it's all home video footage, and then you just have this footage of them being attacked.
Yeah, which is great.
Again.
Perfect ending. And was that set up for the sequel, or?
No, they never did a sequel.
They never did a sequel to that one, because I kind of was waiting for the sequel. I always was waiting, and then kind of all these other zombie films suddenly came out of the woodwork,
Well, that's it,
like
yeah,
zombies.
Days Later and all those kind of things.
Yeah,
they were sort of born out of that.
Exactly.
But it just tapped into something. I think the running zombie just tapped into something that we got a lot of for a while.
Yeah, but then there's been a few more original takes on it, like the Nazis in Snow. That
Dead
German,
Snow.
Dead Snow, which is that was fun.
Yeah.
And a different way of doing it. But then there were some that really went off their heads. I mean, it's like Snakes on a Plane. They did zombies on a plane.
Yeah.
And then Night of the Living Dead Plane or something.
I don't.
Plane of the Dead.
Plane of the Dead.
Yeah, and it was No Flight of the Living Dead. That was the one, and it was just like really they have to do this. So yeah,
there was loads. There was one. It was based in an asylum, and the whole film is sort of like mental health, and there's a weird, scary scientist. By the end of the film, it's full-on zombies in this asylum, and I think the medication they're using to try and cure this mental health with them was turning them into these mindless zombies.
Okay, that's wild. It's pretty dark. I mean, asylum films are always pretty dark.
But then you could say that the zombie films, like by Romero and other people, would have spawned Evil Dead.
Stephen King, author of Carrie, said, "Evil Dead is the most ferociously original horror film of the year. If you think he's kidding, see for yourself." Evil Dead. They got up on the wrong side of the grave. Evil Dead from New Line Cinema.
Starts tomorrow at these theaters. Check newspapers for times.
Because the Deadites in Evil Dead are technically zombies.
Yes.
And there's a remake of Evil Dead.
There is, yes.
I just did a link.
You did a link. That's one of your first links. Okay, I'll give you a point for that.
Mom would have hated seeing the cabin like this.
Oh, is that blood? What is this?
Shouldn't have touched anything from that basement.
Kunda. Strata. Montose. Kanda.
You are all going to die tonight.
That one? Is that the remake?
Yeah.
Okay, oh yeah, 2013.
Have you ever seen it?
I have not watched this.
It's really good.
Is it really? It's, yeah, quite faithful. But isn't the same guy responsible for...
Sam Raimi produced it, who directed
the
first one, with Campbell. But he was, I forget the director's name now. I think he's a Spanish guy, I think. Is it Fede Alvarez or something like that?
Oh!
Fede, there it is on the right. Fede Alvarez.
Fede Alvarez, yeah. Yeah. That's it's pretty much within the canon then.
Yeah.
So it's a remake that's been authorised and Bruce Campbell is producing it, right?
Everything's turned up to 11, you know what I mean? It's like... But there's a real sense of sort of... the filter they use on the lens make everything feel very real and prickly and stuff. And it's not scary, but one hell of a ride. And there's some great sort of conventional, like hardly any CGI in it, if there is any CGI in it.
Good, yeah.
There's this scene where they're going down to make sure she's alright. She put her in the cellar like in the original.
Yeah.
And she comes out of nowhere and sort of grabs her. And her face is all messed up, and she gets like a bread cutter, switches on and cuts her own tongue in half down the middle, like the snake thing, and then grabs this girl and then just kisses her. And all blood starts pouring out of her mouth and stuff like that. All the practical effects are brilliant in it.
Spot on.
Yeah, and they don't do it as like in the original Evil Dead, which you can tell she's getting raped by trees. She sort of just gets like strung up by these trees, and then this branch just twists around her leg, and then it goes up a skirt. So you get the idea.
So it's more like an alien infestation of, you know, you've seen that before in kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Where it just kind of just creeps in.
Yeah.
You don't need to see it. Yeah.
But it's really graphic, really gory. It's not as good as the original, never going to be, but it's a really good remake.
Yeah, well, the first,
worth a watch.
The first Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 especially, they were both films that wanted to push it wide open, the convention of the horror slasher kind of chiller film, and it really did that, and it was of its time. So the Evil Dead remake is just, again, to just keep people awake for that. And maybe a lot of people who saw that did go back to the originals because they did get re-released. So,
and you know, it's we want to do a remake, a second one of that, you know, to carry on from that. But I think they're doing a series now called Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Okay.
Which, you know, I'm kind of looking forward to.
And I think TV series are the other remake that we haven't really mentioned, because there's like Fargo and Hannibal. They're doing a lot of series now, because series has gotten to the status where the writing is so good, the director's so good, the money that's invested in TV series is that good that they're able to do what they wanted for the film, but go that much further.
Yeah, but like you said, you got the Man from U.N.C.L.E. that's just come out.
Yeah.
Which is a remake of a series.
Yeah.
The Mission Impossible's a remake of a series, which we talked about last week.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So it's prevalent. It's not just ripping
but
off films,
it's going the other way. I mean, it's like those are remakes from TV series.
Yeah.
A lot of films are going backwards into TV series. So because that's where the money is and that's where the talent is. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you got films like The Hills Have Eyes, which originally was about the
Wes Craven film, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was another kind of a creepy film that was about that was to do with the nuclear testing in the hills of Utah, wasn't it?
Yeah, and sort of like inbreeding subspecies attacked. People are on holiday. The remake wasn't very good.
No, I don't think it really popped, and it kind of has a kind of an aura of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in it.
It does. In The Hills of Eyes, the remake was. I remember had like one of the inbred things raped one of the girls, and you don't need it. You don't need to see that.
Yeah, it gets a bit dirty. A bit dirty and a bit unnecessarily so. And because I think what they say, well, what do you think would really happen? I said, yeah, but that's not what we want to see. What would you like to see happen? Not what would really happen. Because that just becomes dark. That's just Ed Gaines, you know. You don't want to see Ed Gaines, you want to see Leatherface.
Yeah.
In like remakes of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is of course also a remake.
Yeah, they also remade that, which I actually like the remake to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And and for the reasons that we talked about, the fact that it's returned back to its original concept much easier than all the pretty. And going back to that, I had no idea that Toby Hooper directed the second film.
Oh, did you know?
He directed the second film with Dennis Hopper.
Right, I did not know that.
Crazy. And that was a film that I thought was just such a departure and that shocked me completely. Had no idea that was true. But yeah, he directed the second one. So it's kind of like he lost his plot in a way.
Yeah. So
okay, so remakes something like The Thing is also a good remake.
Yeah,
but that's more of a kind of that's setting up the Norwegian story more so than
no, not that. The Thing is a remake from The Thing from Another Planet.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
The B movie.
So the remakes that we like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like both remakes.
I weren't as fussed with the
second
The Thing,
but
because there was too much CGI for me.
But it's the John Carpenter one that's really the pivotal one.
Yeah, which we talked about quite a lot.
Yeah, it's one of our big ones.
Yeah, so it's really, all right. What about The Fly? It's a fantastic film.
Yeah,
was a remake.
That was a remake as well, and that's Cronenberg doing his body shocker films, and I mean that was Gina Davis was in that as well. Jeff Goldblum they worked really well together. It's enjoyable. It's believable that they go through that kind of problem of him turning into a fly and his decaying and his losing his arms and body parts just falling off. It's great.
Dr. Seth Brundle's brilliant invention goes horribly wrong, and two beings merge into one. The Fly, rated R, starts Friday, August 15th at theaters everywhere.
But it was the right time to do it because it was the time of full-on prosthetic Rick Baker effects, and everybody was doing the right thing in that era of
There's
movies.
two parts of the remake of The Fly that always stayed in my head. The one part when he's arm wrestling that guy and he cracks his that bone, he cracks his bone
Yeah.
that comes out of his skin.
Bone contusion's never
Oh.
fun.
And then when he's sitting down to eat some food, when he's starting to change, and then he's all that acid comes out of his mouth onto the food.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh, lovely.
He's gorgeous, and he starts to have to. He dismembers his jaw, doesn't he? He just dismantles his jaw. He pulls it off because he doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
But,
And the ending is heartbreaking when he just gets the gun and puts it to his head, and he's got those big eyes, sort of looking at.
yeah, because you
Gina
know he's
Davis.
still in there.
And he still just killed me. Oh.
Yeah. Sad. It's a big movie, that. But yeah, it was the right time. I think a lot of movies in the early 80s put a lot of budget into those teams. I mean, they used to work in huge factory conditions, massive areas, and they would just work there, do their whole career work in one character.
Yeah.
And it meant something back then, and it was important. That's why I love the American Werewolf in London, which hasn't necessarily been remade, but they say that American Werewolf in Paris was a remake. But okay, Halloween. Did you like the remake of that?
No.
Not as much.
I hated the remake of Halloween.
Well, let's move on.
Inside every one of us, there exists a dark side. But some are consumed by it.
Michael? I heard that on Halloween night, the boogeyman attacks kids. He likes to eat little boys like you.
On August 31st, Rob Zombie reinvents a legend. Halloween. Rated R.
Again, we've talked about this at great length, but he gave Mike Myers a backstory. He didn't need a backstory.
The enigma was enough to carry
the fact
him
that he's
through.
manifest evil. That's what he is. You don't need to give him a backstory that he had fucking bad, he had a bad upbringing and all that kind of shit. You don't need it.
I mean, how many sequels here did we actually enjoy the remake of? I mean, The Haunting? No way.
No,
The Fog?
No, definitely not.
Okay. So the Invasion of the Body Snatchers was one, definitely. The before Body Snatchers,
Yeah.
and before the Invasion, that's probably been the most remade movie, I believe.
Wasn't there a TV series called The Invaders as well?
The Invaders. Alien beings from a dying planet. Their destination, the Earth. Their purpose, to make it their world.
Based on a similar idea.
The Invaders, yes, similar, but that was they were aliens from a planet. It was the cheapest sci-fi TV series ever made, because the only thing they ever really saw was the UFO at the beginning, which they used in every single introduction, and for the whole episode it was usually just another human, an alien masquerading as a human somewhere in the story. You had to find out which one was the alien of the story this week, and it was okay. But it was not fantastic. I preferred Land of the Giants when it came to that kind of series that came out at that time. But Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. Every time, hands down. Again, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
He knows how to pick 'em.
He does. But no, it's a great film. It's a great film. Have you seen the remake to Carrie?
I haven't. And I think on purpose, I think I didn't want to. I mean,
it's like, again, it's okay, but it's not. Yeah. It's not great.
I tend to avoid watching, and this is probably what you'll probably say. Why are we doing a podcast on this? Because there are some good remakes out there, but a lot of them I've avoided so far. I mean, I saw the remake of The Hitcher. Without Rutger Hauer, I kind of missed not having Rutger Hauer in there. But the remake was a lot more graphic and a lot more disturbing than the original Hitcher, even though the original Hitcher had more gravity, more
menace
to it. More menace, but not as gruesome, and not as because you cut away when things got bad, when they pulled the cube apart with the two trucks.
Yeah.
But on the remake, you see it. You see every gruesome detail, which made it harder to watch because you knew it was going to happen, and the idea of your body being split apart
doesn't cheer me up.
No, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. Did you? So The Omen. Did you see that remake?
I have. I owned it for a while.
Did you like it though?
No.
Damien! Look at me, Damien! It's all for you.
Why did you own it?
Someone bought it me. because obviously I love horror films.
And that's the funny thing, isn't it?
I want to watch it otherwise, so I thought I'd put it on, watch it, and it's just one of those where you just don't understand why they've remade it.
Yeah.
Just go back and watch the 70s one.
Yes.
It's better acted. It's it's great.
Perfect. It's perfectly legitimate, and also Mia Farrow was in the remake.
Yeah.
And she was the woman who kind of brought Damien up. Liev Schreiber, I like him, but he's kind of like been forgotten about. I think he's doing TV now more than anything. Liev, and it's a nothing added to it.
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing added to it. Just taken away.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, if it introduced people to the original, then well done.
Yeah, that
because
would be
the original is a fucking brilliant film.
They rarely do. I mean, they rarely hail the original, and I think you see it in the TV interviews when there is a remake, like in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one. They've been told to talk about the original.
Yeah.
They're just like, they said, we want to be faithful to the fans and to the original film, which was iconic. I'm like, you haven't seen it, have you? They kind of say using buzzwords, and it's like buzz, 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 and it's like, well, yeah, you're kind of doing that because you want the fans of the original to come along and join you for the ride, but rarely do they want to. I mean, some of them did, and it was kind of quiet after a while after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, but The Omen, nobody really wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to do any more, which is lucky because it didn't make the money and it didn't go ahead and make any more. So yeah. But we need to find some more good ones. Where are all the good ones, man? Good remakes. The Wicker Man, was that a good remake? Straw Dogs, was that a good remake? Okay, so let's go on to the Japanese circuit. Japanese.
Okay, so in the 90s we got obsessed with J-horror, is what we called it, with all like Ring and The Grudge and Ring 2 and Ring 3. And,
they were actually the late 90s, early 2000s.
Dark Water.
Yeah, Dark Water. They all came out and they all kind of dripped with the same black ink.
Yeah, I loved all that. When I watched Ring for the first time, oh my god.
Yes.
Didn't know anything about it, I just knew... I'd heard about it, I'd never seen it, and then that ending when she came out the TV, because it's shot so well in the original one, it feels like it's coming out your TV. And once that part was over with, I realised I was like stood up on the couch just like that, and then I just sort of relaxed and sunk back into it. I thought, right, that really got to me.
Really does, and even, I mean, both the remake and the original, but were both spot on with that. But they are obviously the reason why the Americans wanted to remake it and not use the Japanese film is because nobody wanted to sit there and watch subtitles, and they desperately wanted to make a fast buck off it. But it was still good.
Have you heard about this videotape that kills you when you watch it? You start to play it, and it's like somebody's nightmare. And as soon as it's over, your phone rings. And what they say is, you will die in 7 days.
I've watched it. It was a week ago.
Still good.
Because Naomi Watts, she's good. My only issue with it is there were some incredible scenes that they didn't put in.
Yeah.
Like when she goes to find the video for the first time. It has to be a hut in the middle of hell. This really creepy place where it isn't in the Japanese one. It's a hut in this nice little holiday place. And one of my favourite bits is she's just about to put it on. She looks into the TV that hasn't been switched on yet, and behind her you could just see Sadako or whatever his name with her just pointing at her at the back, and she looks round and there's nothing there.
So
they didn't put that in the American one.
Yeah.
And my only other issue with the American, when she does come through the TV, she sort of like they put loads of animation on her, like it's static from a TV.
Yeah.
And at one point she goes from just being there and then being dead close to her straight away, like a jump. just a cheap jump scare. That the fact that someone's come out of the TV and is creeping towards them isn't enough.
Yeah, that is enough, and they didn't realise that. They didn't get the idea of there is suspense in the actual approach.
Yeah, but taking that out of it, I think the American Ring was scarier than the Japanese Ring, apart from
just a few
bits that they just decided not to do or to add. I do think
maybe
scary.
That's probably because of the relatability of what you're looking at. It's more relatable in that respect. And I mean the thing about the horses on the thing, and they all have to get pushed off.
Because that wasn't in the original. The horses, wasn't it?
I mean, it was an unusual scene, but I kind of felt sad for the horses. And kind of like, well, what am I doing? What's this? What is this?
Yeah.
So there was a kind of few things that kind of jumped out that weren't quite there, and I didn't understand why. But then they were still. You still remember them, and I don't know why that stays with me.
And then we had a remake of Ring 2.
Yes, and Ring 0.
Yeah, which is still all workable films. Still quite scary.
Yeah.
And he actually got Naomi Watts to come back to do the second one. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then have you seen Shutter at all?
Yes.
Shutter was a really good remake, I thought. Because that was the idea behind it was freaky. The camera and the photographs and taking pictures and things just appearing, and I love that. I love that kind of thing, because photography is still an enigma, and people still haven't figured out, is photography seeing something beyond our own scope of vision. A camera is not a human eye.
The pictures you are about to see are real. They have not been retouched or manipulated. It is called spirit photography, an event in which images of the dead are caught on film.
Yeah.
And I love that idea, and I love that, and that was interesting.
What did you think of the remake of The Grudge?
That's the Sarah Michelle Gellar one, isn't it? Yeah. Creepy as hell.
The whole time I was in that house, I felt something was wrong. What happened there?
It was still creepy as hell, but I prefer the parody in the Scary Movie. I think that's the thing about the Scary Movie parodies, is that they parodied the whole film of The Grudge, so I kind of remember that more than I remember The Grudge.
Because it's the same.
If someone did that to me over the phone, I would freak out, and I'm sure there's somebody who freaked out just then.
Yeah.
But what were you saying?
Funny enough, after I watched The Ring, it was in the cinema. My mate was going watching it. I left a message on his phone just saying 7 days. I just put the phone down. I was got a text back saying "cunt." But
you are evil.
Yes, I am. But I really like the Japanese Grudge. It's like a collection of stories where they all sort of come together at the very end, and every story is fucking freaky, man. Really scary. And like the part where she gets in the lift and she's going up the lift, and you see that boy on every level staring at her, and she's got her back to it, and every level the lift goes past, the elevator goes past, you see the boy.
That kind of
really, and then she starts and then she starts to get like really freaked, so she gets into her apartment, shuts the door. I think the phone goes, or she rings somebody, and you hear that thing.
It's freaky.
So she gets into bed, and she's like that, because that's the thing you do. You're scared, you get into bed and hide under the covers. No one had ever really taken that away from you. It'd been in certain things, but I've never seen that taken away from me. The fact that you put your head under the covers and now you're safe. And then she's under the covers, and you just see like this thing start to rise under the covers, and then she sort of looks down, and the girl's in bed with her and just goes for it, and then she's gone. Oh,
freaky! And that was the original remake.
That's the original. I'm not sure if they did that in the remake. They should have done if they had. They had a nice thing in the remake where she's having that shower. Do you remember she's having a shower, and she puts her hands to the back of her head, and then two hands like come out of her hair.
Oh god, yeah.
And then she's like, then she turns around. There's nothing there.
That is freaky.
Yeah.
Because the thing is about a shower, it's one of those places where you kind of switch off sensory wise, and you kind of you don't want to get shampoo in your hair, in your eyes, so you kind of shut off for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, you probably can imagine it would just put you off having showers for a little bit. The arachnophobia did that for me.
Yeah.
Because showers and spiders don't mix.
That's true. Dark Water.
Dark Water I haven't seen.
Have you seen the original?
No.
You would absolutely love the original.
When was the original?
Either early 2000s, I'd say, or maybe late 90s.
Okay.
A woman, she's divorced from a fella, and the fella's trying to get custody of the kid, and she's got no money, and she keeps being late picking the kid up. There's all these sad scenes in a kid in just torrential rain outside, just stood there while she's late. She's like, but anyway, they end up getting this. Yeah. But she's not. She's trying to be.
She's trying to do. Yeah.
And she moves into this apartment block. Looks like there's hardly anyone living there, and it starts off very subtle, where this little dark patch of like damp in the ceiling starts to form, and it starts to get bigger, but weird things start to happen. She starts to see things out the corner of her eye, and it just escalates, and it's I'd really like to watch it. I think you'd want to talk about it. Because the ending is heartbreaking.
Okay.
And it's a bit of there's one part of it's a homage to The Shining as well at the very end. But the original is a really well made and very scary film. The remake with Jennifer Connelly is not as scary. It's more of a psychological thing about being alone with your kid. And the element of the ghost thing is there, but it just wasn't scary at all to me.
I think we picked the perfect place to live.
Look, Mommy, look how high I can jump.
What's that?
From the author of The Ring.
There's a leak in my bedroom ceiling.
I can hear someone running water upstairs.
There hasn't been anyone up there for years.
There are forces from beyond our world.
Who are you talking to?
Nobody.
That seek entry into ours.
Hello? Hello?
I will definitely look that up and we'll definitely watch that, because there's another film that's on in this list here that I would like to watch, and that's The Last House on the Left, because I have not seen the original.
It's like a rape revenge thing, I think.
The Despicable Revenge.
Yeah, but it's...
But this is kind of one...
It's sort of because what's in Unfriended is kind of ambiguous what they've done until the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and that she's involved, but there's nothing ambiguous about this. 3 guys rape a girl.
And that's the original.
And they think they've left her for dead, and she
comes back.
Right, there's one where she comes back and kills him. That's I Spit in Your Grave, isn't it? This one, I'm sorry, I think something happens to one of them. They end up going to the last house on the left, right? They go to the house and they try and hold it up. It ends up being the parents of the girl that they've killed, raped and killed, and they torture them.
Got it.
I think that's what it is.
Okay. I Spit on Your Grave, would be. It sounds more, So I think we've got some viewing to do for next time. But okay, so there's another remake here that I can see that you hated. Fright Night.
Ugh. The only part of the remake of Fright Night I liked was David Tennant in it. He was quite funny. But...
There's such weird stuff in that film, and it's like really blah. It's like it felt stupid. I felt my brain was just stupid. Same with Psycho, the remake, when the Gus Van Sant remake.
What's the point in that?
Oh, a boy's best friend is his mother. She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Mother! Oh God! Mother!
There's no remake that is safe, and I don't think we can safely say that there haven't been a few remakes recently where we thought, oh my god, why? Why bother remaking something like... I mean, like we said with Psycho, the original was Hitchcock. You don't remake a Hitchcock.
No. But then you've got the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
The Nightmare on Elm Street,
What was the point in that? Less talented people made a less good film.
Yeah, because what happened
Less good film.
Less good film.
Check grammar out, Andy.
It's alright, I can re-edit your words to make them sound
good.
Phenomenal.
Less good.
Made the film worse than what it should be.
Yeah.
But Nightmare on Elm Street, it lost its allure purely because Freddy Krueger is a personality who stalks people. Already I lost interest because there's nothing that they can do in a movie that is going to make me feel scared of him, because he's always just going to be a personality in a movie rather than an alien or a Friday the 13th or a hidden darkness, if I call it. Too much of Freddy out there. So to remake a movie and try and make him more of an enigma, it's too late. He's already out there. We know every inch of that guy.
So why make a Friday the 13th remake?
Friday the 13th is the whole...
because Friday the 13th, we had the first one, which was his mum, and then the second one, he comes back to avenge his mum's death.
That's it.
And then he finds his hockey mask in the third one, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7...
Then it goes into Freddy...
Everyone's a remake of the last.
Yeah, and Freddy versus Jason, and there's...
there's that. Freddy goes to fucking space.
Yeah.
Not Freddy. Jason goes to space. Yeah.
Basically, it makes you feel like that they knew that the original had an audience pulling, and there's some people out there are kind of trying to see if the original is still accessible. I'm still in shock that Toby Hooper did the sequel, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, because I said people don't get what the original is and what it is, and if people came to us first and said, read the script, I'd say that a lot of the remakes that have been made, we'd say, no, this is not a remake.
Yeah.
This is garbage. Rethink it. Go home, watch the original. Really watch it. Figure out what it is that makes it so good, and then don't do it. Because when they try to do it, they just end up just hacking it.
Yeah.
Making a hack job of things that they thought were moments.
So Tobe Hooper didn't understand his own film?
No. And that's scary because he's tied to the genre as well. He's so tied to the genre of horror that I think he just felt as though he could do no wrong, and that people misunderstood the idea that the original was supposed to be a black comedy. No, I don't think it's supposed to be a black comedy. I think that he probably just had too much fun making it.
Yeah.
Different when you're a filmmaker. I mean, to me, is CAC03 our short film? If somebody remade that, what would you think is acceptable? What would the direction be if they made it into a feature? That's a big question.
What would the direction? What would I want the direction?
What would you like the direction be, and what would reality be?
Well, I'd like it to be the same pace as it is, as ambiguous as it is. But I think the reality would be it'd be turned up to 11.
You would want David Lynch to take hold of it.
Basil Exposition would be jumping around all the time and explaining what's going on, who that voice is.
Yeah. Where the parcel came from.
Yeah.
Why all the stamp marks are on the parcel.
When he comes to pick up the parcel and starts walking, and then they'll be like, there it is, there's the parcel, and then there'll be a back shot of his mum mental, putting all this stuff in a box and wrapping it all up and going, ah.
This is his favourite teddy bear, and talking to the nurse who's in the room.
Yeah, he'll love this. This will bring up good memories for him.
And these are some photographs. There are surprise ones in here.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's kind of what remakes do, isn't it?
Joke face.
Yeah, and that's what would happen. It would be the enigma would be blown open like an open can of worms, and then
something that goes open.
Yeah, something that goes open.
Have you seen Let Me In?
I do not. Nobody's I rarely get to see horror because, unfortunately, in your house, horrors are easy to get onto the screen.
Yeah.
In this house, they're very hard unless I am absolutely on my own in the house at night late. And the scary thing is that I can't watch horror films late at night. Because I get scared and I'm on my own.
If you click on that a second, I'm not sure if the original was called Let Me In. I think it was called something different.
If I click on that, we should get
Let the Right One In.
Let the Right One In.
So yeah, Let the Right One In is a Swedish film, and it's amazing.
Okay.
It's a really, really good film. It's like this young girl is essentially a vampire, and she gets this sort of relationship going with this young boy. All the time she has this boy's sort of like a recluse, lives in the apartment next to her, Tries to talk to her at first, but she's like, you know, we can never be friends. And he's like, well, I never want to be your friend anyway. Kind of, you know how kids are. And as it transpires that this young girl has this older fella with her who gets her prey, you know, gets her blood so she can survive. And it's essentially about that, but they get this relationship going between the young boy and this vampire who could be 50, 60, 70 years old but still stuck in like a young girl form. And they just build this unlikely relationship between each other, and they end up protecting each other. And it's really sweet, really nice.
Different.
Yeah, different. There's a scene at the very end, which you probably don't want me to tell you because it'll spoil it. And you're yawning, so I'm boring you anyway. So,
God no. This is radio, don't tell them I'm yawning.
So he's getting bullied basically by, you know, all these... And
she's standing up for him. And...
Well, she's gone at this point.
Oh, she's gone.
Yeah, for reasons that you have to watch the film to see, but she helps him at the end. And it's amazing the way it's shot. I won't say why, but she helps him, and it's brilliant. The remake, somehow they messed the ending up. It's nowhere near as great as it is in the Swedish film.
Hey.
The face of an angel.
You guys just moved in, huh? Yeah.
The mind of a child. The power of a predator.
Are you a vampire? I need blood to live.
From the director of Cloverfield.
You kill people. I do because I have to.
How do you protect someone when they destroy everything they touch? Let Me In, rated R, starts October 1st.
And how is that? Is there a fear of repeating it so that they try and do it, but it's weird,
I guess
how
Matt Reeves, I think, is a talented director. He directed Cloverfield.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Directed Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there are some directors who won't do remakes.
Mm.
But Martin Scorsese did a remake of Cape Fear, and that was amazing.
Yeah, that was.
It's
amazing.
not a horror film, and I know it's not about, but it's still it's horror enough to say that. Not many people do that. Not many big directors touch remakes, and remakes are usually for directors who are kind of like starting in the business. They're usually young.
And sometimes it can be with actors as well. They'll do a remake.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to
start them off.
Yeah, to get on to bigger things.
So maybe there is a place for remakes to keep the idea alive of what the stories are. Sometimes you can get remakes as a part of a bundle with the original film.
Yeah, that's always interesting.
They did that with Ocean's 11, and they put the original Sammy Davis Jr. and all that.
Because the original Ocean's 11 wasn't very good.
It was more like a musical ensemble of friends who were just hanging out.
But then the remake of it is really good.
It is really good, yeah. And Brad Pitt eats food all the time.
Yeah, and that's kind of his character.
I love that. That's what I think about him. I mean, but it does it in every film. Does it? Yeah. But and that was also a well-established director, Dud Soderbergh. So you know that when they are making a remake and they are competent directors, that to a certain extent they know what the original was.
Yeah.
And they're not just trying to play it up to be anything else but that.
Do you want to go back to that list? Any you want to have a quick talk about before we...
Well, we didn't really talk about Psycho because Gus Van Sant did a shot-by-shot remake of Psycho.
Yeah.
And everybody hated it. And I did watch it. And I
went to the cinema watching it.
Yeah, and it was... You kind of feel like it's somebody who's really trying to just remake a film. I mean, how easy is it to just remake it shot by shot? I mean, I don't think it could be that easy. But the fact that it's in colour and it's got Vince Vaughn as a kind of like getting him into there with Anne Hesh there.
Yeah.
Everything kind of feels false, but at the same time you kind of want it to be good because it's a remake of Psycho and it could be good.
And Gus Van Sant's a talented filmmaker.
Yeah. So you kind of feel more disappointed because you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You don't know where to put it in your list.
I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy it.
No?
No.
No.
I didn't enjoy
bit flat. It was just a flat story because you just knew that you were watching a remake.
Yeah, and
shot by shot.
But one of the best all-time Ear to Threes is when they're on the staircase and she just comes out with the knife.
Yeah, yeah.
I still to this day look.
Yeah, that's Exorcist 3. I mean, that's that whole coming out with a knife.
Yeah, the head and jaws. You know.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you know that they've got it right if they've hit that mark.
Yeah.
And not every director knows how to do that for some reason, or maybe not just so much the director but the editor. The editor will be in charge of that pace. But yeah, I still think that when it comes to horror films, there's going to be a renaissance period where remakes are going to happen all over again.
It seems to be
now that the 80s.
I've talked about this quite a bit, where like Carpenter and were paying homage to like Hitchcock, and now people are paying homage to Carpenter,
like we did.
Yeah, so what happens is you get remakes, then actors paying a homage to then directors paying homage to the directors they were in love with. Then you get all those kind of films, then remakes.
And how someone's going to worship Jessica Biel in Texas Chainsaw Massacre because that's his Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Because you get like a load of original films, and then they start remaking older films, and then new directors start homaging like what's happening now, like they're having Carpenter. And then there'll be a few original films like we're having with Unfriended and It Follows. And then we'll have a load more remakes again.
Those will be remade.
Yeah, and there'll be remakes again.
Yeah.
And then they'll go back from that. So, it's like a cycle.
It is a cycle.
A 25-year cycle.
Yeah, you're right.
The 25-year horror renaissance.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be too worried. I mean, the thing is, the originals are still out there.
Still getting the starry eyes.
I
loved It Follows, even though it was obviously riffing on Carpenter. I still think it's a really good film.
And I think we're still okay. The movie industry hasn't completely lost it in remakes. We're not smothered in remakes, but reboots, however, are kind of a little bit annoying. I think the Spider-Man reboots, and I think when it comes to superhero reboots, I think they just need to calm down. I mean, they're already trying to bring Green Lantern out again. To try and get it, they just want to get it right to make enough money to say that there's a franchise we can spin off this.
People need to take money out of the hands of Fox when they've got a superhero franchise, because they fucked up Daredevil, and then they went so they sold it back to Marvel. Marvel made a brilliant series called Daredevil. It's very good. Netflix, really good. I really would recommend anyone to watch it. And then they have the Fantastic Four, which has made one pretty bad and second not too bad Fantastic Four.
There's a Roger Corman one in the 80s as well.
Yeah. So they recently just remade that, and by all accounts the director tried to make this like body horror shock film, and
he didn't get to have that cut.
Well, he's not been allowed to have the film that he wanted. So the studio, like they did with Daredevil and like they've done with X-Men Wolverine, the studio has edited it, demanded loads of reshoots, which you're not sure whether the directors have overseen or anything. So now you've got this
fragmented mess of a film that
has Katie Mara walking into a room with one coloured hair and walking out with a different coloured hair, and much has been talked about us, so we don't have to put stuff into it. I know we're talking about remakes and stuff, but
I mean, we've got some upcoming remakes that, of course, everybody's talking about. Ghostbusters being all female cast. I don't care. It's just let it happen, let it be, and it could be good. That's knows?
What gets on my nerves. It doesn't take away the original Ghostbusters. It's still there. If you want to go watch it, go watch it.
It's there.
Stop moaning that there's going to be female Ghostbusters, and by all accounts, it's being done as if that never existed. It's a completely different universe.
And that's okay.
And Bill Murray's apparently going to be in it. He's got a little cameo in it.
And
Love
that's
it.
Absolutely fine.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, the Mad Max, every single film was different, and they still had the same actors appearing in the sequels that were not the same character. So there's a character in Road Warrior that's not in 3, but it's the same actor playing a different character, slightly similar but just different. And they've never met each other before, and they don't look alike. They look at each other and say, "Oh, I know you. I think I've seen you before." No, it's just completely different character. It doesn't matter. Life has to move on sometimes, and we need to get over ourselves. And I'm really talking to me as much as possible, because I still want to like the reboot of Star Trek more than what it is.
I'd love.
I'm getting there, and I think if Simon Pegg does it right this time, with the third one for me, I want to see 3 being the one that that gets me over.
Like, I love the first Star Trek, I do, the remake, and then I know everyone. It's like the worst kept secret everywhere that it's going to be Khan, then it doesn't make sense because it doesn't look like Khan, blah blah blah. But what I just took from that film, it was just a roller coaster ride. It was just pure. I've said it before. It's no substance. It's all surface. And but fucking what surface? Yeah. It looked and watched amazing, you know. And I just remember, because I know Spock isn't supposed to get angry. I didn't care because I was like, "Go kick his ass!"
Wow. Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, musicals they're always going to remake because musicals are musicals, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't like musicals.
But as long as John Travolta doesn't appear in drag anymore, I don't. But then I don't have to watch it. That's the thing. We don't have to watch it.
So
everybody take that with you. If they're remaking a film that you love and they don't do it justice, then you don't have to watch it again. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
Life's good.
We've just learned a lesson. So instead of moaning about the remake of Friday the 13th or Let Me In or whatever, just don't watch it.
Yeah.
But I will watch it.
But
it's complain about it.
But it's okay to review because this is what we do. We want to critique. We want to get our feelings out there. And if we tell everybody that they've succeeded when they failed, then they'd end up making more thinking that everybody likes what they've done. So you've got to be honest about what you like and what you don't like to. Or maybe try harder.
Okay. There's a moral, folks, for this week.
Just don't get it under your skin.
Just don't get under the skin.
Let it go. Or don't let the wrong one in either.
Yeah. Or don't take a grudge against the crazies on Friday the 13th because the hills have eyes and just flies around. Now that's horror. Now that's a remake, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I Know What You Did Last Summer when my bloody Valentine met a psycho in the Dawn of the Dead letting me in with the Grudge and Helpers. I don't care what I'm saying now. But yeah, it's basically spoof territory. And let's not go onto spoof territory because there's a lot of shitty spoofs.
Yeah, like, Scary Movie being a parody of,
But they don't parody, they just remake stupidly. That's a lot of the spoofs, the scary movie films are they're not even spoofs.
Yeah, what was the films called?
Scream.
Yeah, Scream. So they tried to parody Scream, but Scream was already a parody of the slasher thing.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's leave it there, folks.
Come on, Starbuck, get off my knee.
Okay.
That's a cat, by the way, not Cara Thrace from Battlestar Galactica, but Katie Sackhoff, if you are available.
If she was here, there wouldn't be much podcasting going on. It's just like,
Katie Sackhoff's here. It's like with Tom Cruise. Oh my God, Tom Cruise is here.
Oh, I stood on him. I killed Tom Cruise.
Thank you very much for listening, guys. Catch you later.
Beaver.
Forever.